Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let's start off with Harmony for a minute, and let me get the right notes. 1 second. Yes, so Harmony is still continuing to unravel, and when well, first of all, Alexis is already pissed off at her for the fact that Harmony, while she was drunk, was trying to get Alexis to drink. So already, bad start. Bad start, bad morning start. But it gets worse. So Harmony finds out that Alexis is, running a story for Nina and everything like that, and Smokes is going to be doing background checks and different things of that nature, and Harmony flips out. This woman loses it. She's like, "No, you can't do it. You can't run the story. This, that, and the third." Alexis is like, "Oh, because Willow isn't your bio daughter." And she's like, yeah, that's right. Even though it could be that, it could even be more. At this point, Harmony is just losing it. So Alexa's like, listen, we'll keep certain information out of it as far as running the story for Nina. But Harmony is not satisfied. Harmony is like, no, I want you to kill the story. You owe me. This woman said, you owe me. The look on Alexa's face, I mean, it said it all right there. It was the how dare you. So Harmony throws all this stuff in Alexa's face, talking about, oh, I was there for you in Spring Ridge, and I was there for you when, when you was on the verge of drinking. And I'm like, kind of like when you got drunk, you offered her a drink. Oh, we just gonna pretend that didn't happen, right? So she starts throwing all this stuff in her face, and Alexa's is like, well, if we're really friends, you wouldn't sit there and ask me a question. You wouldn't sit there and put me in a position like that. So at this point, Alexa's like, you know what? Listen, I gotta go to work. Um, when I get back, we're gonna, have a discussion about your living arrangements. So that's another words for when I get back, I want you to pack all your ish and get it out the door. We're done. We're donezo. That's it. That was a polite way of just saying, I want you out of my goddamn house right now. Um, so she leaves, and Harmony gets upset, and she takes a vase and she smashes it. I'm like, yep, the wheels on this bus is really starting to come apart. So Harmony, well, first of all, when she woke up, she had the hangover because those are always fun. And then she looks at a bag and she tries to move really fast to her bag, and Alexis is right there, and it looks like she's just like caught like doing something that's suspicious. Now Harmony's like, oh, I got to sit there and burn this evidence because that's going to do something. So she's about to start burning the evidence. Carly is at the party for Leo's adoption, but she's like, you know what? Listen, I'm still feeling kind of off about Harmony. So she goes there, she knocks on the door, she sees Harmony car. So she's like, all right, Harmony's there, and at this point she just opens the door. Did Alexis forget to lock the door, or like how did that work, or was Carly just so brazen? What am I saying? It's Carly. She just walks on in. She just walks on in the party. I mean, she just walks on in Alexis' place and see Harmony by the fire. Look like she about to, or just it had that look like she was up to no good. So yeah, Ned gathers the family. Drew, um, what happens when you watch four soap operas? The names just start to jumble together. So you got Drew, you got Brooklyn, you got Carly, Sam, Dante, Olivia, um, Ned. I was gonna say Justin, but Ned. And they gathered for his him being officially adopted. So that happens. Ned says a speech. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of started looking at my phone at that point. But anyway, party gets underway, and so you got Michael, Ned, and Drew talking about, the shares and everything like that. And long story short, I think Michael and Drew is like, let's combine the companies because right now, Valentine still has access to certain shares. He may not have mine. I can get those back. Apparently that woman that played that woman Cameron Madison's real life wife. I guess she was some sort of consultant or something. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea who she is or if she's coming back. Anyway, long story short, they're like, let's combine the companies. This way, we have a better chance of, kind of getting, Valentine out or something like that. I forgot the reason why, but there was like, let's combine the companies. Now Ned is not a fan of that because I think he said like the majority of the power or something like that would go to Drew, and he's like, "Well, where would that leave me at?" And Drew's like, "Hey, it's the party. Let's talk about that stuff later on. Let's have some cake." Now, in the beginning, it's still pretty icy between Dante and Sam, and probably Carly. And Carly's like, "No, I'm sorry for putting that to your head." And Sam is like, "No, I wanted to do it." I was like, "Really?" Because before you left, I'm pretty sure you said you didn't want to do it. Okay. Anyway, long story short, Dante actually apologized because he felt like he was too harsh on Sam. And I'm like, listen, I don't think this is completely unforgivable, but let's not sit there and try to act like she didn't try to go look in your phone for stuff that she shouldn't have been looking for. That could have compromised your job, that could have got you fired. Pretty sure there's a bunch of laws that, would have been broken. So for Dante to be like, well, I'm sorry for going so hard on you, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. It was 100% Sam's um fault for going through his phone. For going through your phone. Don't sit there and try to, oh, well, I'm partly responsible. No, we're not doing that. Anyway, long story short, well, I guess they forgave each other, and that in a sense that, which, to be honest, I still think that whole thing was stupid, but whatever. There's a point that Leo kind of freaks out when Olivia was not there asking him to read a poem that he made for school or something like that. And at first Leo was like, it's for the play or something. But then towards the end, she's like, hey, why don't you go and get the thing and read it to everyone? And I'm like, he's like 10. You really think he's comfortable sitting there reading a poem in front of everyone there? So, he freaks out, he runs upstairs, and, Olivia blames herself, and it's this whole thing, and I don't know. Um, Kind of didn't really think that she needed to push so much, but, I'm not gonna lie, when I was sitting there watching that whole adoption party thing, like, part of me was still, I'm gonna be honest, part of me was still kind of salty at her for, you know, Julian and everything like that, how she kept constantly dismissing Julian, in his role in Leo's life, and just, would constantly sit there and throw, you know, in Julian's face that, oh, well, Ned is his real father, and Ned is, the only father that he needs, and it's the only father that matters, and it just really. So watching that whole adoption thing say, I mean, it was nice, but at the same time, I just kind of looked at her sideways, like, So Curtis is, Curtis and I guess like his right. Well, Curtis and one of his employees. It's good. It's not they talking about the party, whatever that went on till like 4 in the morning, and apparently Miss Wu had her own private cleaning crew to sit there and kind of clean everything up or whatever. So I forgot her name, but she was happy that they did that. And Jordan came in there, and Jordan made a comment about, oh, you're doing late parties or whatever. And at first, Curtis was like, well, it's not against the law and yada yada yada. And Jordan's like, yo, I was just joking with you, relax. And she asked something about Portia. And Curtis snapped at her for like no reason. I was like, bro, she just like asked like how Portia was doing. Why are you being a dick for? Like sometimes sometimes he can kind of annoy me. Um, anyway, they were cool, so they kind of squashed it or whatever. But before that happened, Miss Wu walked on in there, and Jordan was like, that's the kind of parties you doing now? Like you associating with her?" Jordan left, and Selina was like, "Yo, is she always gonna be sitting there hanging around or whatever?" So long story short, Curtis is like, "All right." So I held up my end, and where's the papers at? I look at this whole thing with Miss Wu, and I feel like she must be like the Mister Rogers in a sense, as far as being a mobster to Curtis, because I feel like another person would have had a much stronger hand. A much stronger hand as far as dealing with Curtis. I mean, this dude was asking so many times, "You got the paper? You got the paper? You got the paper? You got the paper?" That you could just sit there and see the look on Selena's face like, "Bro, I will give you those tomorrow." So she has the paper, and Curtis goes to reach for it, but she pulls back like, um, yeah, we gonna be doing a couple more, games or whatever. Now I sat there and I was sitting there thinking, did Miss Wu say like one or like one for the whole month or how's that working? My point is that she clearly looked at the situation like, yeah, this is gonna be an ongoing thing. Like this is, I do you a favor and you no, let me reword it differently. Pretty much that they're saying that she's going to want more. Like she's not just going to be satisfied with what you give her. She's going to want more. Um, and that's when you deal with that element, like you don't just sit there and think, oh, well, I did you a favor, you did me a favor, we're good. It's like no, you ain't getting to say you're good. And Kurt's like, yeah, well, we can do a couple more games or whatever, and Miss Wu's like, all right, well, I'll have to do for now. And I'm like, are you just being nice to him or something? Because I feel again that her presence, her attitude, I feel like she's the type of woman that will come in there and not ask for respect. She'll demand respect. And so for her to sit there and be like, well, I guess we'll just do one game, well, I guess this is all I can really ask for is like, what's what's going on with you? Um, Now she gives him the files and she's like, listen, once you look in that, I family myself, like once you look in that file, things aren't the same. So just be prepared, before you look into that. Curtis said something kind of dickish, like, well, it's my family, it's my concern, or whatever. I'm like, bro, she was just trying to give you advice. I feel like the next time Selena comes in there, I want her to come in there with a more firmer hand. Okay, I really want her to come in there with a more firmer hand because I feel like Curtis is acting like this is a partnership, and I'm like, no. When you deal with somebody like Selena or Sunny, it's not a partnership. Okay, That there's no 50-50 in this. Um, but uh, anyway, he looks in the files and clearly he doesn't like what he sees. Now Trina is sitting there talking to Marshall, and Marshall's all like, "Oh, I'm about to sit there and leave because dealing with family and questions." And he was just making a bunch of BS excuses that he wanted to sit there and leave poor Charles. And Trina was sitting there more or less kind of calling him out for it, like, "Yo, listen, you told me that family was important. Like being with them, it seemed like that's what you wanted, and especially Epiphany. Like, what's going on? What changed? Like, but Marshall tries to play the whole, oh well, we come from two different generations, and I was like, well, there's a coward in every generation, so I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. But okay, sure, let's sit there and try to pat her on the head like she's not smart. I know that they're trying to tone her down a little bit, but Trina is typically a lot more smarter than people give her credit for. So I was like, anyway, Trina goes to Curtis and it's like, yo, your dad's leaving. So Curtis catches up with Marshall before he leaves and it's like, there you go again, just running off. So I guess we'll get to, I guess we'll get to it on Monday. Never mind. So, what the hell was I going to sit there and say? Chase. Was like, where am I going with this? So Chase is in the hospital, but he's a lot better now. He just had a concussion, and Portia's like, I'll sign off on it when I sign off on it. You're not going anywhere yet. Ben and Liz get there, and Liz learns about Aiden and the whole Ouija board thing, and um, at some point Jordan gets there, and Jordan's like, I want to sit there and take a look at the evidence, like the security camera or whatever, but I don't want you getting there because, you're a civilian and yada, 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 and we got to do this by the book and all that stuff. So Ben, Liz, and Jordan go to the house. They check the security footage, but it says that the data was corrupted. And honestly, to tell you the truth, when they started playing the video, I was waiting for Liz to sit there and just knock Chase over the head because everyone has this theory that it's really Liz that is just, I don't know, having some sort of psychotic break. Now, and while that would be interesting, I'm also wondering, hmm, well, I don't know exactly. I mean, in reality, who else could it really be? Um, yeah, who the hell actually? I mean, it doesn't seem like they would add a supernatural element into it and have Austin be how am I saying they actually showed ghosts in the show before. It's going to be really interesting. Everyone's sitting there leaning towards this whole Liz maybe being, I don't know, like her split personality being Biz. um on a side note, because I know that a lot of people probably forgot about this. Hey, remember what happened to Terry and Chad? Remember that budding romance that was going to be going, and then like they just totally forgot about it, and Chad started sending a bunch of text messages like, "Hey, I'm out of town on a trip or business or whatever." And I'm like, bro, you work at a gym. Like, what do you? I mean, I know Sonny is, he's a businessman or whatever, but when he's like, "I'm going out of town," I was like, "Out of town where?" My whole point of sitting there bringing that up is that it felt like they just, they were gonna do something with them, and then they just decided to drop it. I don't know why, but um, um, in this one, there's so many different possibilities to why they just like didn't do anything moving forward with them. But just wanted to kind of bring that up because I'm pretty sure a lot of people forgot because I know I did. Brooklyn is expecting Chase because Leo was hoping that Chase would get there, and Brooklyn kept calling Chase, but Chase's phone is broken. Um, And he's asking Portia, "Hey, do you got any Quartermain's numbers? Because my phone is broken and I don't." really remember their numbers because, you know, technology. Man. Actually, I was gonna sit there and just dive off somewhere sideways, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. Long story short, Chase does wind up getting there. He gets there with flowers and everything like that, and because Brooklyn's like, you better have a good reason why you weren't, why you're so late. And I'm like, Chase, why don't you sit there and say you're in the hospital because I don't know, ghosts or biz or something. Hmm, yeah, I, I feel like that's about it. But I want to sit there and do a double check because I did my days review. And I forgot something towards the end, but I'm like, I got everything else right. So I want to kind of make sure I, got all my stuff right in this review because I had 1 hour of sleep. I had to be up at 6, went to sleep at 3, woke up at 4, and I've been up ever since. So fun times. I feel like that's about it for the most part. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for watching. I know that my video has been coming out, well, some days or at least yesterday or Tuesday. One of my days, it came out like super late, and people still watch, and I really do appreciate that. Work has been very, well, not really work, but just my schedule has just been like a lot. Because here's the thing, I work early in the morning, which is great because I can get out, I can sit there and do my reviews and just kind of just, whatever. Problem is, because I have early shifts, that if I don't go to bed at a certain time, by the time I go to bed, I'm like a zombie throughout most of the day, and I'm kind of just like, feel like I'm sleepwalking. Luckily for me, not to toot my own horn, I can pretty much kind of do my job in my sleep. But um, also the reason I'm sitting there saying that because I don't know if anyone actually watches YNR. I really want to watch YNR. I saw some clips. And this is, if you watch YNR, like this whole Ashland now saving Victoria, and I'm like, he's supposed to be the bad guy, but now he saved her from a burning car. It's like, what does this mean? Ray's dead, and I'm like, I wish I can sit there and say I care, but they didn't really seem like they were doing much with the character anyway. So why does it really seem like it really matters? But whatever. Um, I really want to sit there and start watching for them again, but this week has just been super crazy, like with work. But I still want to, anyone that watches the YNR, watches my YNR reviews, I definitely want to get back and start doing them more. Um, I just want to try to find a time where I can actually sit there and do it. Because surprise, surprise, I did 3 and actually had time to sit there and watch this show on Netflix. And I'm just kind of just rambling. So if you want to just stop the recording, stop the video, that's cool. But I actually got time to sit there and started watching most of you on Netflix. I got a ton of stuff I want to watch, a ton of stuff I need to watch. Disney Plus, and I got my friends like, oh, you gotta sit there and watch, a lot of the Marvel shows because the movies are coming out and you're not gonna really understand certain stuff and jokes and I'm like, yeah, but I love what I do. So eventually that stuff will be watched. Um, and I always sit there and say in the comment section sometimes, or if I'm talking to someone, and I'm sorry I haven't really gotten to the comments lately. I'm gonna try to get to them today before I like rest and stuff like that. But I always sit there and say, or sometimes that this is the best part of my day, and it's true. I never really thought as far as doing videos and things of that nature, social media. I was the guy that would sit there and watch people do it, and then if I didn't like what they would say, well, I wouldn't exactly be really nice. And I tell this story sometimes, but I'm going to sit there and say it again. I before I started doing videos, I was watching a lot of Brock TV's videos. And I remember he said something one time about Nina. Um, I think he was saying like a compliment about Nina or something that Nina did that he was impressed with. And well, let's just sit there and say I was an immature jackass about it. And in my eyes, I kind of looked at it, was like, what, you said something nice about Nina? How dare you say something nice about Nina on your channel, in your opinion? What the hell you think you are? I say that sarcastically. Um, and I said something, and Brock TV was actually really nice, because to be honest, he could have been a dick to me. Um, and I always sit there and think about that when I do my reviews and stuff like that. Like if somebody doesn't like what I have to say and they go off on me in the comment section, which really doesn't happen too often, surprisingly. But I always sit there and think about that, and I don't know where this story's going. I know I had a point, but I feel like I lost the point. I think it was something about just me doing reviews in general and just being really grateful that people are watching my videos, and even when it comes out super late. Um, and even when people disagree with me, you know, they're not like, we can sit there and talk about it. And, even if I don't agree with somebody what they're saying, I always love hearing their input because, I'll start sitting there reading it and thinking about it like, yo, I remember so and so said this, and now this person is acting kind of foul. And I'm like, yo, this person was right. Um, and like I said, this is the best part of my day doing this, and I am just so grateful to just have some really cool people watch my videos and stuff like that. And even point out the stuff that I do wrong. It's like I appreciate it because this is definitely a learning journey. And I'm always trying to get better every day. And just even as far as looking at the camera, it's something that I haven't really been doing. And it's crazy because I remember somebody said that I was like, I started going back and looking at some of my videos. I'm like, man, I'm really looking everywhere else except for the camera. Um, but to be fair, sometimes I will sit there, look at my notes to kind of make sure I'm on point. But like I said, I'm always improving, and so when people give me suggestions, it is always welcoming. You know. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. Damn, 27 minutes. What the hell was I talking about? Anyway, with that being said, I hope everyone has a great day, a great weekend, a great safe weekend because reasons. Yeah, have a great weekend. I'll see everyone in the next video. And yeah.